Welcome to the Crunch Time YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be giving my NBA free agency predictions for today, and I'm going to be doing the top 15 free agents that I believe are available this offseason, so let's get right ahead. So the first player on this list is Kawhi Leonard. He opted out of his $36 million player option yesterday, and I still think that he is going to re-sign with the Clippers on a 1+1 deal, where he has a player option at the end, where he can decline that and then re-sign for another 5 years. If he wants to look somewhere else, I believe the Mavericks and the Heat are his top options, considering their situations with Luka, and the Heat have other stars as well, like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, but I don't think those are going to end up happening, as the Clippers are definitely in the best position to keep Kawhi. The second player here is DeMar DeRozan. Now, his case is a little interesting because I'm not really sure if he wants to stay in San Antonio, but I still think San Antonio is the best option for him, and it's probably the only team outside of maybe Toronto that would have a player like him have quality minutes and be a top 2-3 player on the team in terms of what a team wants to be doing, as his spacing really can cause an issue, and if he joins the Lakers, that would probably be one of the worst spaced teams in the NBA, but he would have to take a pretty big discount. He would be making like $5.9 million, so I just think he re-signs with the Spurs for a year or two and enters the market and sees what's up in the 2022 or 2023 offseason. Now, the first player that is going to be going to a different team. Now, Kyle Lowry, I believe the Mavericks, Pelicans, and Heat are his main options. Now, there have been rumors and reports that the Heat are in a sign-and trade with him, with Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa. Now, if that doesn't happen, as we have seen deals like that with the Bucks with Bogdan Bogdanovic last year, not work out, I think the Pelicans are the best team for him, but if Miami gets him, that'll be a great upgrade for them, as Lowry is just better than Dragic at this point. Well, probably has been better than him for a long time by now, but the Heat would get another player who can play pretty good defense, can create other people's shots, and just adds a lot more versatility on their team. Now, John Collins is a really interesting player because I think he's going to end up overpaid no matter which team signs him. The Timberwolves, Hawks, and Spurs, I believe, his main free targets. If the Hawks want to keep him, they are going to end up having to pay probably $30+ million. And I don't think that he's worth that much. Now, there have been rumors that Timberwolves are looking into him. I don't know why they would, considering he's just another player that can't play defense, and they have too many of those guys. But I think the Spurs would really benefit from signing an offensive threat like him. So, the Spurs, in my opinion, are his best fit, but I think Atlanta will re-sign him for around 3 years. Now, Chris Paul declined his player option yesterday, but I believe that's just to re-sign with Phoenix for a long-term extension. Phoenix gives him his best chance to win of almost all of his options available. The Pelicans would be fun to see with him and Zion. Knicks would be cool to see him play in Madison Square Garden, but I don't believe any of those are real options for him. Now, Dennis Schroeder is a player who was getting rumored a lot to have interest probably in like May when he was playing really well, but when the playoffs started, those might have been in May, so maybe April he was doing really well, but before the playoffs started, he was doing really well, and then when that series against the Suns took place, his stock really went down, and I think the Knicks are probably the only team that would be willing to pay him a lot of money. The Bulls and the Mavericks could also use a point guard like him, but I believe the Knicks are the only team that would be looking to sign him. That's probably going to be for $15 to $20 million for like a 2-3 year deal, not the 4 years, $100 million Dennis Schroeder wants. Evan Fournier is a player who is really underrated, as he provides a lot of shooting, and he can create his own shot. Now, the Hornets are a team I really think could benefit from getting him, as well as the Knicks. I don't know how well the Celtics are doing in their contract negotiations, as I believe they are stalling both sides, and he might end up going to the Knicks over Hornets. There are rumors he's going to the Knicks, but that's with every player you see in the offseason. But I believe the Hornets are the best team that would fit for Fournier, and I think he signs her for a 4-year deal. Now, Tim Hardaway is a player who I think ends up re-signing with Dallas, and he was probably the second best player for them in their playoff series. I just think that he was too valuable for them to just let him go. In the other teams, the Heat and the Nuggets, it would be very interesting to see him play there, but I just don't think they have the assets to get Tim Hardaway, as Mavericks still have some salary cap space. Now I have Andre Iguodala here, and he is going to be signing for a veteran minimum deal likely no matter where he goes. And I have probably the top 3 contenders for Iguodala: the Warriors, Lakers, and Nets. I think he goes back to the Warriors. He knows a lot of their players. Steve Kerr reunites with Steph and Clay and Draymond. That would just be fun to see them run it back like 1-2 more years and see if they can win a ring. Now, Lonzo here is a player who I think is going to have a lot of interest. He has improved a lot throughout the years, and I think him to the Bulls is a perfect match. The Bulls need some defense, and that's what Lonzo brings to the table. He would fit very well alongside Zach LaVine. A lot of playmaking that he adds. And a lot of teams that need a point guard would really like to have Lonzo Ball. Like the Knicks are a team, they're always rumored for people, but they could use Lonzo Ball. I don't think he goes there over Chicago, though. And I don't think it's in the Pelicans' best interest to re-sign him. They need to get better star talent to keep Zion. Now, Richaun Holmes here, and he's a player that I think is super underrated. I think the Kings need to keep him, or else they will just really suffer from losing him, as they already don't have a lot of talent, but losing him would really weaken that center depth they have. But if the Hornets can sign Holmes and Evan Fournier, that would probably be one of the best off seasons in the NBA. Raptors can't afford him, and I do think they will make a run at Richaun Holmes. Next up is Spencer Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is coming off an ACL tear, and the Wizards have expressed interest in a sign-and-trade involving Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Dinwiddie alongside Beal would be a very fun duo to watch. You bring in Kuzma, KCP, Harold, Thomas Bryant comes back. Hopefully Rui can progress a little. And this is a nice team that might be able to get to that 7-8 seed again. And this isn't a team that's going to win a championship, though they probably will make the playoffs. Now, the Raptors or Knicks are other teams that could use Dinwiddie, but Dinwiddie is nothing more than a bridge player in my opinion, as he just isn't a franchise caliber player. Norman Powell next here. I think the Blazers need to re-sign Norman Powell. I accidentally put signs with the Bulls. I meant Blazers. If the Blazers lose Norman Powell, that is going to be a huge loss of value. They gave up Gary Trent, who did pretty well in Toronto, and if they lose Trent for basically half a year of Norman Powell, which was one playoff series that they lost, that would be a terrible way to give up someone like Gary Trent, who has a decent amount of potential and can become something pretty good. Now, if there is a sign-in trade, I think the Sixers are a very good target that could maybe get Norman Powell. They could always use another wing, like basically every team in the NBA. Now, before I move on to number 14, I would like to say I excluded Mike Conley from this list. I just believe he will end up re-signing, and he isn't a Kawhi Leonard type player where I feel like he must be included. Now, Kelly Oubre is here, and I think he's a very interesting player to watch out for this offseason. There could be a team like the Spurs or Thunder that sneak in and sign him for a pretty good deal. I think he doesn't sign a large deal, as I think he tries to prove himself on one of these 2-3 teams, and maybe gets a larger deal in like the 2023 offseason. And hopefully for him, he can progress a lot here, add some consistency, improve his shooting, defense, playmaking, everything. And he would be probably one of the older players on the Thunder, and that would just be really good for him probably, to play with players where you aren't in a win-now situation, because I don't think he's as good as people thought he was when the Warriors needed him last year. Now, the final player here, Andre Drummond, probably the most overrated player in the NBA. I put signed with the Bulls again. Probably will be with like the Heat as a backup. Not really sure who would want Andre Drummond as a starter. Maybe the Nets if they need someone, but they still have Nico Claxton. The Hornets probably could use a backup center if they don't get Holmes. And then they could move Plumlee to the bench. The Heat don't really have someone if they trade Precious Achiuwa, who isn't really a center to begin with. So hopefully for Andre Drummond, one of these teams can figure out if they want him. But I don't think it's going to be for a large deal, money-wise or contract length-wise. So this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And comment below some of your free agency predictions.